I saw this quote and it's quite funny. It says, if you don't have time to meditate for 10 minutes, you should meditate for 2 hours.
Yeah, I saw that. That was so good. Yeah, 100%.
And I was like, oh, that's when it hit me. So I didn't do it the first day on the Monday. And then I saw that on the Monday evening and I was like, oh.
I keep meeting women who I've heard all my life are bitchy and pushy and so on and so forth. I meet them and they're nice, compassionate people.
I adore dessert. I love men. I think men are the coolest. But you don't really need them to live.
To love is to know. And how can you know when each wears these masks that keep us from being ourselves? And then in the larger sense, in the world sense, we'll be able to make love, not war.
All right, so I sometimes swear when I'm passionate.
Me too.
Yeah. And I've had a few people tell me off this week, being like, oh, like, can you not swear? And I'm like, okay, I won't because I respect their boundaries and stuff. But for me, it just kind of annoys me because it's like, well,
it's an expression.
Yeah, but it's also like, you know, be upset at like, be upset on someone's like actions rather than like words, you know? They're just words.
Yes and no. I can understand both sides. I can definitely understand both sides.
Can you explain to me why people get upset with swearing?
I just think it's the intention. Like sometimes if people are swearing and the way what they're saying and the way they're swearing,
yeah,
I feel like it's directed at me.
Really?
Yeah, even though it's not.
Oh.
So like somebody could be like, fucking hell, but talking to me about something.
Yeah.
And I'd take offence being like, you're now getting aggressive with me.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean?
Oh.
I don't know why. I don't know why.
That's interesting.
It's a different perspective.
Totally different perspective. That's so interesting.
But I can understand. I can understand both sides.
Okay. No, thank you for
But then I am the same
me.
and I'll be like, I'll get like quite excited. I do it more when I'm excited, I think.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. When I'm like enthused about something.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, for sure.
Something I'm working on. Anyway. Yeah.
How did your challenge go for the week? The meditation challenge?
Welcome back, guys. Hi. Welcome back to the podcast. Thanks for joining. Sorry, I just had to
get in. It's all good. Get in.
Yeah, no, my challenge went pretty well. Oh, yeah, so I had the flu this week.
Oh no.
Pretty bad. Yeah. But I kind of like the flu, not to sound a bit like a weirdo, because I love having the fever. Because you just get that like real like trippy like high kind of vibe. And I just feel like, you know, you have a fever, you're just in bed, you know, you're feeling a bit like, you know, funny, but in a good way. Like I feel like it's a great like time for self-reflection and you just get a lot of epiphanies out of it. I've
never known anybody to be happy to be sick. I'm such a suck. Like every time I'm sick, I'm like, I can't do this. I can't.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it does get to that point when you can't like Uber Eats your favorite food because like you can't eat. But, you know, there's always a silver lining. And for me, it's like, great. You know, I don't do ayahuasca, but, you know, this comes pretty close, I feel. So here we are. Yeah.
So intuitive.
That's it. Yeah. But yeah, so I did meditate a lot when I was really unwell. And yeah, a couple of times this week I did meditation, a few meditation sessions. But what I found was most helpful for me, because I am quite a stubborn person. Like if someone tells me to go and do something for 5 minutes, I'm going to be like, no, like even if it's good for me.
Yeah.
So what I found worked really well for me was doing it in smaller intervals throughout the day. So I would literally just close my eyes and breathe for like 30 seconds or 2 minutes. And then eventually I would feel like, oh, you know, I could recognize the benefit of it.
Yeah.
So then I was like, oh, okay, all right, I'll do that.
Yeah.
5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. The first day I just completely forgot. Completely forgot. And I was like, oh, yeah. That's what I meant to be doing. But then I made sure I was doing it on the way to work. I've had a really kind of long work week as well. So I was like, I'm just going to sit here and breathe, listen to some music. And I've been listening to classical music.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it really helps.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because I get distracted when I listen to songs that I enjoy, or even like acoustic covers.
Yeah.
I get distracted and I start to sing along, whereas when I'm just listening to like piano
Beethoven
or
Mozart, you know. Yeah. Oh wow, that's
it's really calming. Yeah.
That's awesome. This sounds a bit weird, but do you like kind of feel the music when you're meditating to it? Like, because I know that classical music can be quite expressive, even though they don't have words.
I wouldn't say I feel it. I kind of imagine it being played.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Kind of visualize it, but that's like when I hear any music. Normally, I imagine myself dancing to it.
Really?
Yeah. But with classical music, I just imagine like somebody performing it and me watching the performance.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's so cool.
But yeah,
it's very interesting.
Maybe that's my thing.
Yeah,
that's how I visualize things. I don't know.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, for those who don't know, I have synesthesia, so I just like see and feel the colors. But yeah, so welcome back, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Second episode.
Yeah,
excited.
We launched last week. It was awesome.
It was really good. It was very stressful for me. I don't know why I got so overwhelmed and stressed.
No, it was overwhelming. Like I did say it felt like we'd given birth on Sunday, because like we had to, you know, get everything up, figure out, you know, like, okay, like how are we going to do this? How are we going to set the foundation for like the rest of our podcast? And then we just released it into the world. Yeah. So, we gave birth, and shout out to Diogo, the producer, for, you know, being a midwife there. Yeah. You know, with us along the way. Appreciate it.
You're right.
Too good.
So we launched last week, so that was great. And thanks to everyone who listened and who got something out of it or gave some feedback. That was awesome.
I feel like a lot of people reached out, which is really good. Yeah. I feel like even if, you know, we can make a difference to one person, it's amazing.
100%.
But also like just free therapy for us, like I said before.
Legit.
So last week we talked about gaining independence and managing loneliness. Today's episode is kind of a continuation of that, but in relation to relationships and boundaries with those relationships. So personal, professional, family.
So I guess a good place to start would be, what are boundaries?
I think they're different for different people. My personal boundaries and my professional boundaries are two different things.
What do you mean?
I'm not going to lie, I suck at personal boundaries.
I'm
not really great at them. And I used to be bad at my professional boundaries as well. But I feel like I've got that figured out now. Like I don't overexert myself at work.
Yeah, because we were talking about this. We both have a tendency to, when starting at a new job, feeling like we have to overachieve. Yeah. To kind of keep our place within that role. Within that
and
job.
show you kind of value and...
Yeah. But, sometimes that leads to like overperforming to the point of like unsustainability or exhaustion or compromising of our professional boundaries. Yeah. That's pretty interesting. So for you, like, you're at this job, how have you managed to kind of not
replicate?
Replicate that pattern.
So I think in previous jobs, I used to kind of self-sacrifice a little bit in terms of my workload and the hours that I'd put into it as well. So I used to automatically think like, oh, this person's not going to want to do it, and to be honest, it's just going to be quicker if I do it anyway, instead of me having to call them and explain, or me having to speak to them and tell them what to do. It's just going to be easier and quicker for me to do it. But then I found myself just getting exhausted and worked up that other people weren't sharing the load. Yeah. And I was like, actually, I've not asked anyone to do this. I've put it on myself, and it's just,
Yeah.
I'm frustrating myself here.
Well, that's really interesting you say that, because something that I've learned is that when you don't communicate your boundaries and you take on more than your like kind of share, it can lead to resentment.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess so for you, the difference between personal and professional boundaries, is that like the quality of boundaries or the way that you communicate them?
So they used to be one in the same, my personal and professional. Now I've started a new job, and I set the precedent early, just being like, look, this is what I can do. Yeah. This is what I'm not able to do. If there are any times that I can help out, I will, but I just want to kind of say from the get-go,
Yeah.
I'm not going to go all in.
Here are my boundaries. And
yeah.
well, that's the thing as well, though. Like, it's all good to like kind of say your boundaries, but it's really great that you're following it up with action as well.
Yeah.
Because then you're kind of like reinforcing those boundaries.
Yeah. And I think it's just more respected when I kind of say what I can do, what I can't do. And, you know.
Yeah.
My professional boundaries, I'm getting a handle on. Personal boundaries, still got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, I feel that. Well, I guess for me, like boundaries are so boundaries, I guess, so for me, I identify boundaries in a few ways. So sometimes I don't have a kind of reasonable perspective on what I am, what I owe someone or something, whether it be in a job or a relationship. So for me, sometimes boundaries are cognitive. So I'm a law student, so sometimes like I apply this in law. There's this thing called the reasonable person test.
Yeah.
It's kind of a test to determine whether someone's actions in criminal law were reasonable. Or if a reasonable person could see things a different way, would they have done that action? Anyway.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of legal knowledge there.
Just throwing it in.
Just throwing it in there. But I apply that test sometimes to my personal relationships or different situations. Is this reasonable for me to, do this, to give this much of myself to a task or a job or a relationship? Or is it reasonable for me to kind of, take on that responsibility as well? So to me, they can sometimes be cognitive in that way. But other times for me, like it really comes in the form of, emotions. So whether it be that gut feeling, that intuition, it's like, oh, okay, no, this isn't me. This is not what I vibe with. And that boundary can look like walking away. That boundary can look like, fairly straightforward communication of, hey, I'm not here for this, or hey, I'm here for this, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But it can also, something that's not, I don't know if it's like quite often talked about, but in psychology, emotions are used as a tool for information.
Yeah.
And so I will look at my emotions, but what I found is that when I feel anger, that for me is like my language of some boundaries as well. So for me, yeah, that's how I identify my boundaries, and the way that I express them can be verbal or in actions. But I think I find verbal boundaries a lot more helpful, because then you and the other person, whether it be in like a work context or a personal context, have accountability, but also there's that clear communication of expectations as well.
Yeah. I think my problem is I have like an avoidant personality. And I really just don't like confrontation.
Yeah, it's rough. So where does that, where do you think that comes from though? Because I think at times, like for you, does that come from like guilt, or like you don't want to, like?
I think I just get in my head.
What do you mean?
Like I perceive a situation, not from my own perception, but how I think somebody else is going to perceive it.
Okay. That's really interesting.
Which then I sort of talk myself out of having the conversation. And my dad always says to me, like, anytime I have any conflict, he's like, it's just a conversation. Like, just take everything away and just have the conversation. And I'm like, oh, but I don't want to.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I totally get that. But so from, like, I think it's great that you think from another person's perspective and, how they would perceive it. But to me, like, obviously you're considering their feelings and their needs, which is great. But I think that like sounds like you kind of feel responsible for the outcome of your boundary.
Somewhat maybe.
Okay.
It only seems to happen with people that are the closest to me, where I value their opinion quite highly. My old job, I really got on with my boss at the time, and I got promoted quite quickly, and they were really helpful, and if I needed anything and if I did ask for anything, they would always kind of give it me. but then I over-exerted myself to the point that I started to resent them.
Yeah, okay.
But I wanted to do it because I was like, no, I'm so good at my job, and like they know I'm good at my job, and do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So how
I
did
think
you...
it's more of a. I think it was more of a validation than anything.
I totally get that. Yeah. Well,
so then I was sort of too scared to put a boundary in place of like, oh, actually, this is now making me work too hard.
Really?
Because I didn't want to change the perception of how they viewed me.
Oh, interesting.
Or like I was no longer capable of doing something, or I was no longer there, or I didn't want there to be a change of perception of me.
Yeah, okay.
Because I hadn't changed. I was just,
yeah,
I'd got to breaking point because I'd gone too far.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's so interesting. I can totally relate to that. But I also think like environment has a role to play. Like, you know, there are some environments where boundaries are really easy to set and they're encouraged to set.
Yeah.
Whereas some environments, you know, they benefit from not having boundaries in place.
Yeah.
So I think it's, you know, really important to kind of figure out what that is. But at the end of the day, like boundaries are super important. And you're not responsible for how other people react to your boundaries.
Yeah.
And like, I think, you know, one of the great things about boundaries is that you can really learn a lot from a situation or a person by setting boundaries as well.
I feel like you get to know yourself a little bit more when you do set them as well. Like, and you sort of set an expectation and standard of how you will be treated and
and how you respond.
Yeah.
For sure. I think you definitely teach people how to treat you.
Yeah.
But also I think you get to know yourself in the sense that like you live your truth. Like boundaries are tools not just to be protective, but they also enable you to live your truth as well.
Yeah.
Which I think for a lot of us can be a very like frightening thing, but also something that we're not totally conscious of, whether we are living in our truth or not.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes as well it's good to have them because, well, good to have the boundaries because people feel like you're not there for them, or so you'll have really close relationships and because you're not always available for someone, they then take it personally because you haven't communicated that.
Right. Oh, that's really interesting. Yeah, I can totally get that. I think I kind of I totally get where you're coming from, and I think many situations that can be the case. But I think with people with healthy boundaries themselves, like it's so much easier to not take things personally.
Yeah.
Because you know, you know, shit's not about you.
Yeah.
Like, you know that like people are just, you know, figuring out what's good for them, and like 95% of the time it like has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
But I think you make a really good point in terms of, you know, like being there for someone and setting boundaries. I found this awesome quote the other day. It was like, so you need to fill your cup.
Yeah,
and
you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah, and give from the overflow of the cup. You know, I really liked that.
Oh, it's cute. I like it. I was talking to one of the girls at work as well, and she's very much New Vibe Tribe.
Oh, love it. Shout out.
And she was saying, you know, like you have to accept that not everybody has your perspective, but also accept that people have different boundaries as well. So for what you feel like you need to put in place, somebody else could feel kind of attacked or like you're pulling away from them if you put certain boundaries in place. But she was like, all you can, like, you're, no matter what, that's always going to be a perception if you don't communicate it. That's so true. Communication, I think, is key.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, communicating boundaries. That's really interesting. So just kind of like digesting that. That's like really cool. I love it. That's awesome. Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, I think I totally agree. Like we were talking about at the start of the podcast, like for me, like swearing is not a boundary.
Yeah.
People could swear with me and I wouldn't really particularly give much of a hoot.
Whereas sometimes I can feel like it's a personal attack.
Yeah, which is just so interesting. But, you know, like it's great that, you know, people can communicate their boundaries.
Yeah.
We can respect them even if we don't have that same perspective.
Mm.
You know, because that way as well, we enable other people to live their truths. And I feel like that's a great vibe.
Yeah, 100%. What would you say your 5 benefits are of boundaries? I'm just gonna throw it out there.
On the spot. Love it. Yeah, for me, I'd say like living your truth. Like boundaries enable you to live your truth. They're that tool to live your truth. I think the second benefits to boundaries is that they are able to kind of like show what is meant for you. So if you set a boundary in a relationship, and express, you know, a need or set an expectation, and that isn't met, like very well received or respected, or even if you're just not on the same page, then
that comes to light.
Yeah, and then you can like allocate that relationship to where it's, you know, like a better fit based on your boundaries, needs, and expectations. Yeah. And so it makes room for something that is meant for you. So I think that's kind of like great. You know, a great thing about boundaries. So I think another benefit to boundaries, you know, they can be protective as well. Yeah. Because you treat people how to treat you. And if you treat yourself as high value, you will, you know, kind of like attract that. But also, you'll attract situations and relationships like that in your life, and are more likely to repel situations that aren't healthy for you. Yeah. So I think that's really great.
It doesn't have to be 5. It was just a number that popped into my head.
No, it's all good. No, I love the challenge now. You know the Aries
determined.
In me. Yeah, the Aries in me is just like, no, I have to win now. Yeah. So I'd say, you know, I think having clear expectations, it just makes relationships so much easier as well.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, carry on.
Oh, well, just imagine like, you know, because I feel like we communicate our needs and expectations and boundaries pretty well. Yeah. And which is great because I don't have to like guess what's going on with you, and you don't have to guess what's going on with me. Yeah. You know, we know where we stand. It's chill. It's a vibe. So I think that's great. And the 5th one is, you get to know yourself because you know how you want to be treated. So that's pretty fucking dope.
Yeah. I think you also set your own expectations so then you don't feel like frustrated or have any kind of emotions towards not doing something or being somewhere or acting in a certain way.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So it's kind of like you give yourself more room.
Yeah. You're a little bit easier on yourself.
That's nice. Yeah. Oh, we love that self-compassion here at the New Vibe.
I love that you're holding the selenite stick. Just like clearing everything out, clearing energies.
I need it today, like not gonna lie. This week, man.
Of all of them, you went for that one and I'm loving it.
Well, matches my outfit.
Yeah.
It's all white, you know. But yeah, you know, it's just been one of those weeks where you just need to like clear the energy, refocus. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so do you have any 5 benefits? Or how about some tips? Let's shake it up.
Yeah, some tips. I think communicate boundaries early. That's definitely.
But it's also never too late.
Yeah. 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 For me, someone with an avoidance personality and a serial procrastinator. Yeah.
I felt so attacked. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, you definitely. I find it's better to do it sooner rather than later. Yeah. So you don't have those kind of resentment and frustrations.
Do you have like a little Shia LaBeouf kind of, you know, like when he had that video clip of just like, just do it. You know, do you kind of have that in your head at times? I don't know if that's just me, but like sometimes I'm a bit avoidant too. So sometimes if I have to do something, I kind of just like visualize Shia LaBeouf like yelling, just do it at me.
I probably will from now on.
Oh, amazing. Sorry.
No, I see lists in my head.
Oh.
I see lists and steps to take.
That's cool.
And then I'm like, yeah, I just need to actually do it. Like, you know what you need to do, but you actually just got to do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. This is not sponsored by Nike.
Oh.
Yeah, so do it early, communicate them effectively, and check in with yourself.
Yeah.
And don't compromise your own well-being to help someone else, because you're going to be no benefit to each other.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So
good ones. I like it.
They're my top tips.
I like it. That's pretty good. Oh, I just thought as well of another benefit, if you don't mind.
Share away.
So I think a beautiful thing about developing boundaries, like if you think of like the skill of boundaries as a muscle, right? You go to the gym, you know, and like you're a bit, you know, puffy, not very like, you know, fit. All been there, me right now. You start off, you can run like 2Ks, you know, like your pace might not be ideal, but you keep going and you keep building that muscle.
Yeah.
And then in 3 months' time, you know, you're running like, you know, 10Ks, like you're killing it. Amazing. And I think of boundaries in the same way. And the great thing about getting to the, you know, that level of like skillfulness or like developed in your muscle boundaries is that you can recognize opportunities to help others do the same.
Yeah.
So if someone feels uncomfortable and you can recognize that and feel it, you can be like, oh, like what's going on for you? Like, you know, how do you feel about whatever it, you know, that stimulation was, right? And, you know, you can be like, oh, okay, so you don't like this. Okay, well, it wouldn't make you feel more comfortable if like this was the situation.
Yeah.
Okay, well, like, thank you for sharing that with me.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Like, I appreciate that. And please you know, speak up, you know, with how you're feeling. And you can help another person grow in boundaries, which I think is so beautiful. Yeah.
So cute. No, but I definitely feel like I've kind of tackled the professional boundaries. I'm like, okay, I'm getting there. I'm taking my baby steps and I'm setting up my pillars.
That's awesome.
There was a conversation going on, and I was like, I just can't be involved in this because the conversation that's happening is just, it's not good for me. And I'm not going to benefit to this conversation. I'm not going to add any value to this conversation. So I'm just going to take myself away from the situation.
Yeah.
And then the people that were having the conversation, they was like, is everything okay? I was like, yeah, like I just, you know, just don't think it's appropriate that I join in.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, oh, that's so good.
That is so good.
That's so good. Oh,
Ebony, my hat off
so
to
yeah,
you.
we're
That's
getting
so
there.
good.
We're getting there. We're laying the foundations. We're setting up the pillars. We're getting there.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, don't think I'm great with the professional, to be honest. Like, I'm getting there.
Yeah.
And I feel very fortunate. Like, I do work in a team where the manager's great and she, you know, actively encourages people to kind of like voice their needs and where they're at.
Yeah.
Particularly in wellness, which is, you know, amazing.
Yeah.
So I have the opportunity to, but for me, like, I'm kind of doing the opposite. I'm looking at my personal life. I'm like, all right, what do I need to set up these, you know, where these boundaries need to be? I'm coming for you type of vibe.
I think family's a strong one as well. Like a lot of people feel pressured or expected to be a certain way or act a certain way or do something for family members just because of who they are.
I would love to ask you a question. So I found a quote the other day and it was like, so I was talking about like family or whatever, obviously on Instagram because Instagram is my educator. Fuck uni, it is Instagram.
Social media.
Seriously. But it was like, you know, I was talking about family dynamics and it was like, you know, some family dynamics confuse self-sacrifice with love, which I found like really interesting and I'd love to get your thoughts.
That's pretty deep.
Oh,
yeah, that's real deep. No, I do agree with that. I think there's a mentality, especially when you're in a tight-knit family, of you should do this because it's your mom or it's your dad or it's your sibling.
Yeah.
Like you should do this for them because they do it for you.
Ooh.
And it's like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if that's...
Yeah, I don't think that's totally healthy.
Yeah.
You know, because everyone's different and everyone has different boundaries. But also I think that, you know, that's really difficult because like that dynamic, because it kind of creates this like idea of like conditional love.
Yeah.
Which is like not a vibe, I
No.
think, in families in particular.
Yeah. I think family is probably the biggest boundary that everybody struggles with.
Yeah, well, it also is our teacher of boundaries as well.
Yeah.
Not to get too deep,
Yeah.
but, you know, the
Yeah,
boundaries
that
we
kind
have
of
in
self-soothing, self-sufficiency and
attachment styles,
all of that. I actually read something about attachment styles the other day. It was really interesting. It's got like 4 different attachment styles, and it depends
4?
on, I think 4.
So there's anxious, avoidant, and fearful avoidant, which is a combination. Oh, and secure.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. 4.
It's like, oh, maybe I read it wrong.
Oh, no. I just like only saw the toxic ones and I'm like, you know, oh, funny.
But yeah, I was like, I had no idea about them, and I also had no idea that it would have an impact on you later on in life.
Yeah. Well, should we give a bit of rundown of like what attachment styles are for those who don't know?
I think maybe we do a whole episode on that.
I
reckon we could go deep into that. And
I really think we could, and I'll probably cry.
Yeah. Oh God, get the tissues.
That's it.
Yeah, I reckon we do a whole episode on that. I'm
Yeah?
keen to dive into that.
Me too, but like I was
Yeah.
really nervous. No, I did a test actually this week as well on attachment styles, just to like see where mine was at. I had a pretty good feeling,
Yeah.
and I found out, and I was like, okay,
Or maybe mine must be avoidant.
really?
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. We'll do the test and have a look.
Yeah, let's do the test
Yeah.
on the podcast. Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be wild. But yeah, I think family boundaries, yeah, like you said, because they're sort of the anchor and the pivotal
That's what we
learning
learn.
point.
Yeah. So that's
Very
what,
important to have.
yeah, 100%. And I feel like for me, like the way I'm kind of approaching my journey with boundaries is, yeah, I'm an Aries. So I like to do things the difficult but like effective way.
Yeah.
So I'm going like, you know, I'm really trying to zone in on the personal life and, you know, those key relationships and apply my lessons in boundaries to that. And then I hope it will just manifest outwards, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm a Virgo, so I overanalyze everything. So yeah,
Gang, gang.
wild.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, speaking of our astrology,
Mm-hmm.
we got an update for the week.
Yeah, we do. Why don't you start, Ebs? What is the moon doing?
Yeah, so there's the Gemini lunar eclipse.
All the Geminis out there, shout out.
Yeah, it's going
And
to be a
this
strong
eclipse.
one for you.
Oh, yeah.
Strong one.
What's happening? What's the haps?
It's going to be happening towards the end of November.
20th to the 16th.
I think 16th to 30th, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So also Mars and Mercury are now out of retrograde.
Fine,
Thank
a
God.
fucking Lee. Like, sorry for the swearing.
It's all right. It wasn't a personal attack this time.
But yeah, finally. So I don't know about you, but you've got an Aries placement, so you might be feeling it. So today is the glorious day for us, the 13th of November, that Mars finally exit retrograde. So for those with Aries placements, you would be particularly affected, but also whatever planet is in your Mars placement as well. You would be feeling a lot more, I guess, like attuned with yourself. Mars is the planet that basically rules like your energy and how you approach life.
Yeah.
So I'm not too. Is your Mars in Virgo?
No, I think my Venus is in Virgo
Okay.
and my Jupiter, but not my Mars.
Oh, okay.
I have to see where my Mars is.
Yeah, I really want to know now. Well, for me, like my Mars is in Aries, so it's very exalted there. But it also has meant that this retrograde has meant that like I've really felt like out of sorts because like, you know, that's my source of motivation. You know, like my energy, like it's a fire sign. So I've just felt like a, you know, little bitch ass fire.
My Mars is in Libra,
Oh, nice.
so it's quite balanced.
That's quite nice. Diplomatic in
Zen.
your approach of things. Oh, that's great. Oh.
Which is crazy because, you know, I should be able to communicate these boundaries effectively, but
no,
for some reason.
No, but the thing is though, Libra is like it is a sign of communication, but it's also like an unbalanced Libra, which I'm not saying you are, but in instances where Libra placements are unbalanced, there can be a potential for people pleasing, because relationships are super important and being fair to everyone is super important, and that's why there's the like scales there. Oh no.
No, I'm only playing.
Right. Yeah. So that's really cool though. So yeah, that's out and about now. So you know.
Yeah, so I can try and get back to normal.
Yeah. Finally.
Yeah, it was
rough.
Did throw me about.
It was like for a while as well. But yeah, so Mars will continue to be in Aries for a little while, which means that it's exalted. So our energy, like if we want to get shit done, like we have the opportunity to.
Yeah.
Everyone. So use this time wisely, peeps.
I think my Gemini is it the Lilith?
Yeah, your Lilith and your midheaven.
Yeah.
Which is like really fascinating actually, because your midheaven's like where you're working towards in life. So it can dictate like your career, that sort of thing. And Geminis are like great communicators. They're
no idea why I'm struggling with this, but you know, we'll get there.
Yeah, they're great communicators. They're very intellectualized. They are social butterflies. They can be social chameleons as well.
Oh,
yeah. You know, so
that's relatable.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they can get on with pretty much like everyone. But yeah, they can be they're like really fun people. Like they're so fun. They're great.
I mean, I don't want to sound the life of the party, but
yeah. So to have it in your Black Lilith and your what's it called? Oh, your midheaven is quite like an interesting combination, because like, just for those who don't know, your Black Lilith is what you're kind of working towards accepting and embracing in yourself that you are hesitant to do.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting that like, yeah, you gotta go in there to like kind of reach your potential.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Dig deep.
Yeah. Whereas like mine's a bit weird. So my my Lilith is in Cancer. But my midheaven is also in Gemini. Yeah. And my Venus is in Gemini. So
what will this lunar eclipse bring?
I mean, yeah, so having it in Venus isn't like a great omen for, you know, romantic stuff. It means, I guess, like I will have to like, so for me, it's very true. Like, so for me, the way like, I'm very like, I really love like an intellectual connection, really love talking, you know, and someone who can like keep up in a conversation, but also joke and banter and like have lots of fun sporadic moments, that sort of vibe. Like that's really important to me. So, and that's very Gemini. That's very Venus in Gemini. And so to have that in, you know, have this eclipse, it would be like, you know, developing, I guess, ways of connection other than that.
Yeah.
So that's fun. More work.
Yay. Can't wait.
Right? That's it.
Oh, too good.
Yeah. And yeah, so that's great. There's a few other things going on. I think like, yeah, so we've got the Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius conjunction coming up as well. So that's fantastic. It's giving us a taste of next year essentially.
Yeah.
So I think we spoke about that in the last podcast. Aquarius is a very humanitarian, very sort of like, unique thinker, and so that energy will be a lot around later in the month as well.
Yeah.
So it'll be really around like, seeing different perspectives and embracing those and embracing that within ourselves and how we interact with others too. So there we go.
Oh, that'll be an interesting one.
Yeah. But yeah, so what's your kind of challenge for the week? How are you feeling?
Well, in terms of setting a new challenge, or
yeah, I mean personal challenge, like new challenge.
It's been a really long week for me, so I've struggled a little trying to prioritize rest and self-care.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've had to sacrifice a couple of things. I've not been to dance this week, and I don't feel like
Really?
myself. Yeah,
Oh no.
it's crazy how like you don't do one thing that like you have fun. I mean, it's an hour class weekly, and just not going to it, I feel different.
Wow.
Just 1 hour of my week, my entire week, 1 hour has been affected.
That's interesting. It must be a really like, you know, good anchor for your self-care.
Yeah, I think it's just because I like let my hair down and have fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then I just post videos of me shaking my ass on Instagram.
Yeah, you do. Oh.
Check it out, guys. I did what?
Yeah, it was actually like really hectic. It made me feel like a virgin watching it because I'm like, I can't twerk like this. Like, what?
It's actually really good in class because like my teacher, shout out to Beck, I would definitely link her Instagram because she's amazing. She really hypes you up, and even like when I post stuff, she's like, "Get it, girl." I'm like, "Oh,
That's amazing."
but yeah, it's really cool.
That's cool. Yeah. So it's like for the next week, you're gonna focus on prioritizing self-care.
Yeah, and I've been doing a lot more journaling.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm trying to journal not just when I get my overwhelming feelings, but also when I'm in a good headspace.
Interesting.
So I can be like, "Oh, this is how I was feeling, and this is how I speak to myself, and this is how I address myself when I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
Let me replicate these feelings."
Nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
quite like a bit of self-knowledge there that
Yeah.
you're getting. That's cool.
So I think maybe that will be my challenge for the week. The meditation one did really help because I wasn't going to dance and
Yeah.
because I didn't have, I saw this quote and it's quite funny. It says, if you don't have time to meditate for 10 minutes, you should meditate for 2 hours.
Yeah, I saw that. That was so good. Yeah, 100%.
And I was like, oh, that's when it hit me. So I didn't do it the first day
Yeah.
on the Monday. And then I saw that on the Monday evening and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
guess I gotta go. Guess I gotta do it.
See-
but even carving 5 minutes out was pretty easy.
That's good.
Yeah. So now journaling, but it's actually quite fun because when I start, I don't know what to write. And then I'm like 6 pages deep and I'm like, oh, I
Wow.
wasn't expecting that to happen.
Yeah, that's so true. It's really interesting. It's kind of like, look, it's very good for processing. I mean, you get to see like, you know, you're writing about what's on your mind, like on the surface. And you
Yeah.
get to see like what's behind that
Yeah.
and what you're really feeling.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So yeah, maybe we should do a journal challenge.
I'm
Would you be
down.
keen?
I'm keen. Like, I think I'm like at a
She's like, oh, I'll agree to it, but
no. I'm gonna no.
Boundaries. Let's go.
No. Right. So I just want to like, yeah, just like spill some tea on myself. So I have been like doing like a lot of like inner work and like I've done a lot of stuff with boundaries this week. And so for me, I've like done a lot of inner work, you know, really like that solid like introspection. And so, you know, with that, it can be very rewarding, and it always is very rewarding, you know, if you look at it as a growth opportunity. But that, you know, as we were saying last week with the whole going to, you know, the dragon's den before it gets to your village, like it can be like really exhausting work, and it can also be like really painful.
Yeah.
Like, who wants to run to a dragon's den? Like, not me.
Yeah. Not this avoidant over here either.
Right.
I want to do it. I want to go.
100%. So I've had a lot of that this week, which has been really good, and I've slayed some dragons. But
Yes, like we.
thank you. But yeah, so that's my initial reticence. It's like, oh fuck, like more dragons. Like, but at the same time, it's like growth opportunity. Yes, let's do it. So, I think for me, yeah, let's do the journaling. My therapist keeps nagging me, so why not?
Yeah.
But I also think, for me, I'm going to set more of like a personal goal with, self-expression.
Oh.
Yeah. So I need to get back on my painting grind, and come at it from a perspective, not
Well,
like,
we could do two separate because I feel like that's how we
Yeah.
both express ourselves anyway. Like
Yeah.
I have to write my feelings out, whereas you creatively
That's
express
true.
it.
Well,
So maybe it can be a expression challenge.
I'd love, yeah.
Maybe we'll do that. So
Okay.
however way you express yourself, whether it be through writing, dance,
singing,
yeah. I'm trying
painting,
to think what else. Writing music,
clay, pottery.
yeah.
That's a vibe for some
Anything,
people.
building Lego.
Oh, yeah, building Lego, floristry,
Yeah.
poetry.
Oh,
Yeah.
so many good things out there. But yeah, so this is going to be our expression challenge.
I like that. That sounds great. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Gang.
Gang. So I think, do we do daily? Do we do weekly?
I want to do it daily.
Daily. Okay.
And it doesn't have to be the same thing. You can choose different tools. We'll post some tools up on our Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
Different
that
tools
sounds good.
of expression. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm keen to post daily on my little tools.
Oh, yeah. I'll
do
give
it.
you an update daily as well.
Oh, yes. Let's do it. Amazing. I'd love to see if anyone's like a florist out there and they express themselves through like floristry.
Yeah, that would be so cool.
Would love to see that. If any of you guys are so way inclined, please like send us a
or
DM.
if you know anybody, like send us the info.
Oh, 100%. That'd be amazing. I'd
That'd
love
be
to
really
see
cool. Yeah.
Wow.
Love that.
All right.
I'm about it. I'm here for it.
Hell yeah. Amazing. Yeah, so I guess with all that, thank you for listening in. Thanks for listening in last week. It was really lovely to get the feedback and get the good vibes and the new Vibe Tribe.
Yeah, I think we'll still try and update you as to what topics we're going to be talking about, and once we've done the episode as well, we'll drop some hints and tips and tools that we've
for sure.
we've discussed.
One thing that Ebony and I are working on, so we know we talk a lot about astrology, and we're kind of like by no means like experts, we're not professionals.
Still figuring it out a little.
Yeah, we're still learning ourselves. But what we thought would be a really great tool for you guys is kind of like a basics series.
Yeah.
So
Astrology 101.
that's it. So yeah, we're gonna so watch out for that. And yeah, we hope that's helpful.
And again, if there's anything that you want to see, any topics that you want us to talk about, I think for the first couple of episodes, we've got a series around similar topics and different aspects and perspectives and stuff like that. So, if there's anything that you'd like added in there, just let us know. Yep. Keep engaging because we love it and we really, really appreciate it.
100. Legit makes my day. I'm like, oh, who did?
Someone sent me a DM.
Right? Oh, love it.
Oh, too good. But yeah, thanks guys. You are the new Vibe Tribe and we really love you.